Hi, everybody. So the first homework that you did was a train wreck, as I used to say back at JPL when things didn't go right. So we're going to fix it. And I want to explain where there were issues, and then I'll put some training wheels on you so you'll hopefully get moved in the right direction. There were a few people that did it right. So if you're in that group, you should know it based on what I say. So try to not, be too concerned because you obviously did it correctly. But the majority of you, there were issues. So here we go. So I randomly picked an example. So this is one of this is an AP student solution. I'm not putting their name here. And this is incorrect. Okay, although it looks correct. So when you look at the output, you can see here's this random list of numbers, and that was done correctly, and there's a couple zeros, and that's done correctly. And then the processed array has the zeros at the end. But the problem is this note processed array is actually incorrect. This is not the array. This is the array. And if the array were printed out again, it would look just like this. The array doesn't look like this. It looks like this. And I want to try to explain why. So this person gets the length from the user. That was good. Easy reader. Constructs an array. Good job. Prints it out. Good job. And then here's where things go south. So this person goes through the array again, the number of elements that are in the array, and checks to see whether the array value, each subsequent value sees whether it's non-zero. And if it is non-zero, it prints it. And then what this person does is they go through the array a second time and checks and sees whether the array element is zero. And if it is, then it writes it out. And so this is going to appear as though all the zeros are at the end, but they aren't really at the end of the array. The array still looks like the original one that was made up here, and the elements are in the same order as they were before. So I hope that makes sense. And if it doesn't, talk to your group leader, and hopefully they can clarify the difference. Because there's a confusion, and I understand why, between what you system.out print and what actually exists in the array. This looks like the array got changed, but it really didn't. It's just printed on the screen as though it changed. So what I'm going to do is give you, and this is in the T21. I want you to redo it today as like a warm-up activity, and I want you to use my code. So I'm going to walk you through it. This is my code. I've got the easy reader. You might have to change some names, but you can get over that. Easy reader, get the length. This was just like the example I showed. And then I give you the option of having a second array. Okay, I'll maybe say something about that in a minute. So here's a for loop that loads up the array. I do that for you. And then I print it out. I do that for you. And this here is the only place I want you to put your code. Okay, so I want you to leave everything from line 20 up alone, and I want you to leave everything from line 25 down alone. I want you to only put your stuff here. But I want you to notice now in this discussion that this guy prints the array out, and this for loop down here prints the array out. So that they're printing the array, and so whatever the array is, there's no if statements in here, it's just print the array out. And I want you to put your stuff here. Okay, now there's one little caveat. If you want to use two arrays to do this, then that's the one condition where you can break the rules. You can go uncomment this and let val2 in, and then do whatever you need to do with val2 here. But if you use val2, and that's where the changed array is, then you want to comment out line 28, this guy, comment this guy out, and uncomment this one. You're only going to have one thing here because your answer is in val2. Okay, So that's your mission. So what are you going to do? So if you did it incorrectly, you're going to do it correctly. That's your first mission. If you did do it correctly, I'd like you to do it another way. If you did it in a single array, in other words, you're printing val and val, that's actually, I think, the most challenging. You could try to change it to strings and get crazy there if you want, your choice. But if you did that, okay, then you're fine actually. But I would like you, if you're in that category, I'd like you to test it. Now we haven't talked a lot about testing, but it's time, especially for you. If you did, oh, by the way, congratulations if you did it correctly. You were amongst a small group. So if you're in the testing group, then I would like you to, here's some sample test sequences. Okay, and now what does this mean? This means that you're going to change that line that fills it with random. So right here, we got a loop filling it with random. You can comment that out and do whatever you want when you're developing the code. So don't forget that. That's part of the message here. So, and I only have ones and zeros. That's all that matters. Okay, so I'm trying to keep it simple. Usually if something's broken, it happens on the ends. So I would have a test sequence where there's a 0 at the beginning, and I'd have another test sequence where there's a 0 at the end, and just make sure that it works. Each one of these constitutes a separate test. I do another one where they're all zeros, and I do another one where there's no zeros. And then I do another one where there's more than one 0 in a row, consecutive zeros. And then that starts to cover the landscape. And that's what one of your goals is as a coder, is to make sure, just think of the last time Windows crashed on you and you got blue screen or whatever. You're mad, right? I mean, you're trying to do something and boom, you lose your box. Well, somebody didn't test the situation that you got your machine into. So you're angry. So I want you to test your answers to death and make sure that they're solid. Debug them. All right, if you have any questions, bug your group leader. They will help you. Good luck.